we got word that the Bears did, in fact, complete their interview with Eddie George that was in person, completing and satisfying the Rooney Rule for the Chicago Bears. Does this mean that a head coaching hire is sooner rather than later? We're talking about all that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And so the Chicago Bears did complete their interview yesterday with Eddie George. We got word that this was going to happen shortly after the Detroit Lions lost their game yesterday. And it was an in-person interview that he did complete with Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, George McCaskey, Jeff King, and Liz Geist, the same contingent that's been there in all of these interviews, whether digital or in person for the Chicago Bears. He becomes now the third person to interview in person with Mike McCarthy, Ron Rivera, and now Eddie George. So this is clear in the past. We knew exactly what this was going to be. Me and C-Dubb talked about this. Me and all of us really talked about this. This was going to clearly be the case, right? The Bears were interviewing him to get the job done, to clear the Rooney Rule, and now with the Bears able to have in-person interviews as of today with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. No word yet on those who've been scheduled or not. But with that happening, hey, it comes down and it just proves that the Bears are probably closer to completing their head coaching search than what they ever were before. The first round of interviews, they haven't even completed all the interviews they requested. I wonder if they even do, as now the two reported lead candidates for their team, and even Todd Monken as well, who their teams have all been eliminated from the playoffs. So that now leaves the door wide open for the Chicago Bears. If it is any of these guys, anybody really except Cliff Kingsbury, who's also mentioned in this, the Bears could definitely start make their decision sooner rather than later. I expect another round of in-person interviews, at least for Ben Johnson, maybe even for Todd Monken as well. And if those in-person interviews happen, I would not be surprised if the Bears get an answer in here sooner rather than later. So we'll see what's going to happen here. It does seem like, Ben Johnson also reportedly has informed the Detroit Lions that he will not be returning back to Detroit. He will be taking a head coaching position at some point during this offseason. So now we just got to see what's going to happen. We're going to see what's going to happen for the Bears. We hope that the Bears are going to get this shit done, man, because ultimately it's time, right? And Adam Schefter has even recently talked about when the Chicago Bears can look to make their decision when it comes to it. And he says this: that was one of the byproducts of the upset last night in Detroit, because the NFL coaching hiring circle now has been ramped up dramatically. And we can see most, if not all of these openings filled by the end of the week. And that's kind of what the prediction was that I had, is that I do think that we're going to, before this weekend, we're going to know who the next head coach is of the Chicago Bears. That's just my personal feeling on it. I think that everything's kind of now being in line for that. And whether it does end up being Ben Johnson, who is the hot name, the young offensive coordinator that's hot right now, whether it's Mike McCarthy, the old vet, right? Whether it's Todd Monken, another veteran of a coach that, has recently been talked more and more positively about being a fit for the Chicago Bears. And so when you look at the things right now, right, for the candidacy for the Chicago Bears, I think when you look at kind of where everything's going, most places are still pointing to Ben Johnson. I think that's fair. I think that's understandable. But then Mike McCarthy is right second there. And then you have a guy like Todd Monken as well. Joe Brady's even been mentioned a little bit more recently as a candidate here for the Chicago Bears. So the Bears they got candidates. We know that, right? The question is who's going to bring the right full vision for this team? And that's a hugely important part to this, is the full vision for this team. And that's something that, it's going to be answered on the football field. I've been on record to say many times, it's not Ben Johnson or bust. I hate to, I don't want to burst any Bears fans' bubbles, the ones that kind of just look at the national media conversation. It's not Ben Johnson or bust. Should he be the favorite? Yes. Do I understand why he's the favorite by most people? Absolutely. I do. There's no question or doubt about that, right? But it's not that the Bears still can't get, especially for where their team is, somebody that's going to dramatically change the direction of this franchise and improve how things are done around here. It's more than just a Ben Johnson race. So I know they're going to be people disappointed, especially if if Ben Johnson is not the next hire. I know there's going to be people that damn near are ready to riot if Ben Johnson is not announced as the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. That's just, it's going to be that segment of the fan base. But what, like I've been saying, for me personally, it all comes down to the results on the football field. Regardless of how I feel about the name initially when it's announced, because I'm going to have my feelings, as every Bears fan is. It all comes down to, what is the result on the football field? What's that result? That's it for me, right? And that's something that we won't be able to tell for quite a while. It's not like we're going to, there's many people are going to say things like, oh, we're good because we got this guy. I call me disillusioned. Call me somebody who's over the place of this team, jaded, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to believe anything until we have a winning record after week 10. That just is who I am. At this point, that's who this Bears franchise has made me. Until we have a winning record at week 10, I'm not going to believe anything. I'm not going to believe stuff is going to sustain. And that's when you start getting me in. So it's going to be late in the season this year before you get the old typical excited ride or die for I'm going to be ride or die for the Bears anyway, but that's really excited about the direction that this team's going to be, because we've seen, like, we've had a direction before that it hasn't necessarily worked out to be, right? And the players have all chimed in different ways over who they want the next head coach to be or what type of coach they want next, right? Quan Brisker in this saying, but I would prefer an offensive coach so we can dominate and win. He stay. It is what it is. When asked who he wants to be the next coach, he started off by saying the best, but he didn't say I would prefer an offensive-minded coach. And we've been hearing more and more about that, right? I think that the players on this team understand and recognize how important getting a offensive mind is in here for not only the development of Caleb Williams, but to see what things are going to be for this team. Now, you don't have to. If you do hire a defensive-minded head coach, they better be able to put a damn good offensive coordinator, and I hope that that's the case. But wherever this ends up shaking out to be, if it's Ben Johnson, if it's Todd Monken, if it's Mike McCarthy, if it's Cliff Kingsbury, if it's Aaron Glenn, if it's Brian Flores, all I want is for those people to be successful. Whoever it is, be successful. Find a way to be successful in the course of this. You got to get this decision right. Right? I know I'm beating a dead horse when it comes down to it, but you got to get this decision right. It's that important for this Bears team. It's that important to really change the direction of this franchise. This is not something that you can just get okay. You got to get it right. This next head coach has to be able to take this team from where it's been to being a playoff team, to a team that's contending into the division, a team that's contending in the conference. You have to do that. No, I'm not expecting you to go take us from 1 year of being a 5-win team to the next year being a Super Bowl contender. No, right? That's not. And the chances of that happening are very, very slim to almost none, right? But to actually start making consistent forward progress, that is the most important thing for this team. That is what this team has eluded this franchise for far too long. That's what you got to find a way to get to. And so now that the path has basically been cleared, the Bears don't even have an interview scheduled with Cliff Kingsbury. So while I did have the episode not too long ago, should Cliff Kingsbury be higher up in one of the options lists for the Bears? It doesn't seem like he is. And I don't think that the Bears are going to wait, especially if Cliff Kingsbury is not planning on interviewing until the Commanders' time is done, right? If he's waiting until the Commanders' season ends, if he even, and that's what the wording was, if he even does interview for a head coaching position. If that's what he's doing, I tell you what, the Bears can't afford to wait. They've already waited for Ben Johnson, and the heavens cleared up. And luckily for us, they got eliminated. So this is, I think, the week where we get it done. And this is a nice place to get it done. There's still so much time left for them to get their staff done before the end of the season. We got the draft combine. You got Senior Bowl. You got all that, right? You want your coach in place before all of that. So now we got to see that, and the Bears aren't the only ones searching for the next head coach. There are a lot of teams in that, and that's why I do like that Adam Schefter said that this cycle of head coaching searches, this coaching carousel is going to start coming to its conclusion for all teams. And Ben Johnson may be the very first domino to fall. Well, Vrabel was technically the first. But Ben Johnson, once that domino falls, everything else is going to start coming into the picture for the Chicago Bears. I really do think that. And for a lot of teams as well. I think everything starts coming into clarity once that does happen. And let's hope that it does, and let's hope that the Bears, again, make the right decision. But enough of me. I want to hear from some of you guys as well. We're going to go ahead and play a couple of voicemails on this one. This one's from Big Von.
Yo, Chicago Bears Central, CBC, Bobby, C-Dubb, Big Kev. Hey, what's that word, man? Calling in, your boy Big Von from the low end. I had left a voicemail the other day, and I kind of got cut off. I know I was a little long-winded, but you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get right to the point with this one. I'm calling the morning of Sunday. As y'all can see, Detroit Lions just got belt put on them by Jaden Daniels. It was a great game. I was able to watch that, and I was very, very happy for your boy Jaden Daniels and what he accomplished this year. Now, getting to the Bears, I finally come to the realization, guys. You know, I said I'm going to be a voice of reason all season long, and I'm going to continue to do that. But the season is over with, so it's time to get on my BS. Ryan Poles, 3-year tender, equaled up to a bunch of losses. Our team took a step back this season, and it's just, you know, honestly, I love Ryan Poles, man. He's done a lot for this franchise. He helped us clear this cap, and he has brought in some talent. But we going on 3 years with his tenure, I should say, and I really haven't seen any improvement. We got a 5th rounder who's our starting left tackle. We have a bunch of makeshift journeymen on our O-line. You know what I'm saying? We have a bunch of makeshift journeymen besides Montez Sweat on the D-line. Skill positions, cool. We got a couple stars. We got DJ Moore. We got Roma Dunze. Keenan Allen did what he did. He was one of Caleb's top targets, but it's time for him to roll out. I'm going to get right to the point, guys. I think we need to take a page out of Detroit Lions playbook, or should I say they mastermind, the way they masterminded they team together. I think it's time for us to make a big move. I believe the top tackles and the top guards will be gone at that number 10 pick, and we're going to have to make a decision, guys. We're going to have Ashton Jeanty there at the number 10 pick, and I do believe we're going to need a thumper behind DeAndre Swift, guys. A lot of the reason our offense was sputtering this season is because we just did not have a run game. We just didn't. I believe it's a lot of quality tackles and guards in that second round on down. With that number 10 pick, I think we need to go get us our future running back. I love Rojo, but Rojo got the concussions, and when you had a concussion, it's spooky, man. It's spooky. We may have to replace Bristol. We may need to be looking at that. So, you know, it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things we got to do. So y'all let me know what's up. What y'all think, man? I'm all the way in for Ashton Jeanty. Y'all let me know what's up. Chicago up, Bear down.
All right, here it is, right? So you're right. We do have a lot of makeshift journeymen on the offensive line. You can't deny that, right? And we got to get that offensive line together. I know a lot of people are taking the Redskins win, and the Commanders win. It's happened. I've been calling the Redskins most of my life. You know what it comes down to, but I think ultimately, like, you got to see what your team is going to be. And, you know, for the people that are looking at, look at what Cliff did against Ben. Cliff is clearly better than Ben. That's not how it works in football. This is not how it works in football. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but that's not how it works in football, right? And so it gotta come down to who you feel is the right guy. And just because Cliff Kingsbury was able to, if anything, he beat Aaron Glenn, not beat Johnson, but because he was able to out-scheme that and they got that dub, that doesn't all of a sudden make Cliff Kingsbury some better head coaching candidate than Ben Johnson, because, again, it's not just about how you are as a coordinator. It's about what you bring to the table as a head coach, right? And I'm right there with you. I like a lot of what we have on this team, right? We have a lot of we need the tackles in here. We can get tackles in the second round. But I tell you what, if you do end up drafting a running back in the top 10, you better be damn sure that it's a running back that is going to really up the ceiling of that offense, right? So, you know, there is a lot of moving parts of what we can do and a lot of different routes of what we can do. And that's up for the Bears to find the best path forward, right? And I think that there's going to be a draft pick that is going to surprise some people, right? Whether that is a running back at number 10, because you can still get starting caliber offensive linemen with your 2 second-round picks. But to C-Dubb's point, he makes this a lot when we have this conversation. If the Bears do choose a running back in the first round, Bears fans are going to initially be like, what the fuck are we doing? Because that's if we don't address the offensive line in free agency, which I do think we're not going to address it in a heavy way because of how expensive veteran offensive linemen can be. But it all comes down to the same thing that I've been saying for a while. I just want this team to improve. Even if you make a move that I'm initially looking at, like, what are we doing here? If it ends up working out, as long as you address the offensive line and you get those, if you up the talent of that offensive line, that's the most important thing. I can care less where they're drafted. I know some people are like, well, we got to get blue chip, and if they're not in the first round, they think they can't be a really starting offensive lineman, and that's because of the results that we've seen here, right? But I think in the second round of this draft, you can get some really damn good offensive linemen. I think that's just what it comes down to, man. And we hope that ends up being the case. But overall, we'll see what the future holds. We will see what the future holds for this team, man, and see what ends up coming down. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one is from the 702.
Bear down my motherfucking ass. You know what? See, you didn't play my crash out. You didn't play my crash out on Bull. You know what I mean? You should have played my crash out. So now I'm going to take something on your book and I'm going to be petty. Because I know who the Bears want, and y'all ain't going to get them. Let me say it right now. Ben Johnson. I met Ben Johnson. I'm going to say that again to you. Yeah, Ben Johnson, that offensive coordinator, you know, Detroit, the most hottest commodity. Yeah, I met him. Yeah. See, this is the reason why I said what I said. You know, you see, I'm in my office right now. You know, you forgot what my job is, right? Like, the man literally parked next to me. We yapped it up for a good 2 to 3 minutes. See, I'm giving you exclusive right now. I'm giving Bears fans exclusive right now. See, we giving that man everything but in the kitchen sink. We're giving him the deal. He's picking out his own GM. It's already done. So hopefully y'all can, you know, stop, you know, wishing and hoping, because it's not going to happen. Ben Johnson is not going to the Bears. It's not happening. So go ahead, go think about Eddie George, Brian Flores, Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, hopefully a Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah. Since you didn't want to play, and you ain't even got to play this. This is for you. This is for me just being petty. For you not playing my motherfucking message and let me crash out on my motherfucking Bulls. Yeah, it was time to watch the party die. You didn't play that message. You wrong for that. I still love you. You're still my brother. I love you. And I know there's probably ways you did, reasons that you didn't even want to play this shit. That's totally fine. So since you did that, I wanted to be the first one to tell you that Ben Johnson is officially the Raiders head coach. I been knew this. I already met the man. Check his motherfucking hand. And I'm going to tell y'all one motherfucking thing. This is Tom Brady's show, Steve. Yeah, Mark Davis is the owner, but Tom Brady is the CEO. You know, and he's running things here. He's a good guy. Y'all put up with him as well. Yeah, I just had to throw you on that, you know. Had to get on your ass on that because you did not play my motherfucking message. My mailbag. So now sit here with this and understand this. And Bears fans all over the world. Ben Johnson is the new Raiders head coach. Raiders!
First of all, that is from my brother Corn, and here's the thing. Listen, Corn, you're a prisoner of the moment, and at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I'm fine with the Bears hiring Mike McCarthy, right? I know that the Bears fan base is going to ride if that's not the case because they get so, and I love the Bears fan base. There's way too many people in the Bears fan base that literally just get caught up in national media conversation. And they do. You know how many Bears fans, for example, and this is I'm going to call some Bears fans to the carpet here. You know how many Bears fans last year when we did a video on why the Bears should consider drafting Jaden Daniels, like, oh my God, no, it's clear. Caleb Williams is the generational talent. Why would we even talk about drafting Jaden Daniels? Now those same people, because I track and I see your comments, those same exact people are the ones sitting there, oh my God, we got it wrong again. We should have drafted Jaden. We should have, because Bears fans just go off whatever the hype of the media is. They don't look at things objectively. They don't do their own research. They just go off, hey, that's what everybody's talking about. That must be what I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying a lot. There's a very vocal part of the community that does that. And the same thing is going to happen if it's Ben Johnson. But here's what I'll tell you. You can keep thinking your little Raiders team got a lot going on, but ain't y'all paying 4 coaches? Aren't y'all paying 3 GMs currently? There's something going on in the water there. And I tell you what, as much as the Bears are a dysfunctional organization, my brother, that's the pot calling the kettle black, because the Raiders, listen, if you think Tom Brady's going to come in and change the ship there with the Raiders, I can't wait to see where we're at. Let's have this conversation again at this time next year. But that's my time, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. But that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.